What's up? Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Love and Golf, a podcast about our romantic, passionate, and sometimes twisted love affair with the game and the valuable lessons it has given us and what we give back to it. All right. So my next guest is someone I admire very much. Rarely in this world do you find someone who has an eye and creative spirit like this human being. You know, in life, we often think that once we get caught in the rat race of a professional career, we forfeit that creative pursuit, what drives us as people. And we feel as if our entrepreneurial spirit slowly dies. What if I told you that's completely and utterly false and wrong, and that we can actually do and attain both? Well, my guest today is a friend who I call Javier, but the golf world formerly knows him as SuperSwings. Javier is an architect by day, but a creative club builder mastermind at night. His creativity and artistic approach to custom club building has taken the golf world by storm. I'm super excited to dive into the story. So without further ado, Javier, welcome, my friend. Welcome to Love and Golf.
Oh, Mike, that's the intro, man. That's quite a mouthful, man. I actually I'm flabbergasted right now by that total description. I think you caught me off guard when you said you had a little intro for me, and I think. I'm humbled, man. I'm humbled by this game more and more, by the people I meet, and everyone that I've met, and everything that I've learned through golf. And I think that's just a good way to kind of segue into the entire conversation that we're going to have today.
I gotta agree with you, dude. I think we came up together. I think in the last couple of years, you've come up further faster than we have. But I will say, it's been a true honor and a privilege to see SuperSwings as an account go from hundreds of followers to thousands of followers to tens of thousands of followers, which is just it's a testament to you and your abilities to. And by the way, everybody, if you don't follow SuperSwings, and I don't want to get into this too quickly, please go follow him. This guy is it's incredible. What you do, what you take, and not just the actual building, but how you artistically show the process of it. I mean, as a golf nut myself, brother, it's quite fascinating. I gotta say.
Yeah. You know what, Mike, first, something I missed to say is thank you for having me on this show. I appreciate you even thinking about me, and kind of to fall back on and echo on what you said is we did grow up together. I've been on the platform for maybe a year and a half. And when I found out about Molly, I thought, hey, this is a cool place to avoid all these eBay fees that, I was getting taxed, dude. It was just like, I'd sell something and it's incredible. And I appreciate your support, and I hope equally, the same way. In some way, SuperSwings has helped the brand of Molly kind of grow all together. But
Appreciate that.
So kind of going back to your questions, and kind of what you were saying about the page, it's just it's incredible, man. I mean, I don't know. It started off as a flip. I was flipping golf clubs on OfferUp. And at the same time, I had really gone into stocks, into the stock exchange, and just kind of learning kind of the ins and outs of that field. And I was, at the time, we called it, swing trading. And so I was like, swinging stocks, and then I was like, you know what, like, in a way, I'm kind of buying clubs, refurbishing them a little bit, polishing them up, putting a new set of grips on it, and then flipping them. And I was like, hey, like SuperSwings, like, that sounds pretty cool. And then SuperSwings, like, everyone has this an incredible swing one way or another. It's just a matter of carving it out. Right. And so I was like, okay, cool. SuperSwings is the name, and we're gonna move forward with it. And what became as me showcasing just the clubs I was selling on Instagram, slowly, turned into, hey, like, I don't want to just sell clubs. I want to add some type of value and put a part of myself in the clubs. And that's when the idea of like, hey, let's start customizing these things. How do I do it? And so, big shout out to my mentors, Custom Clubs, Chris from Custom Clubs. We got Brandon from Shafts and Balls, and Isaac from Tour Drip, who's actually up from Northern California, where I'm from. And shout out to those three guys that have really, like, big time showed me the ropes and kind of taught me the way and how to build it. And from there on, it's all up to ourselves, right? To see how far we take it in anything in life. It doesn't have to necessarily be golf, but in this case, this is just what I stuck with. And yeah, we're here, man. I mean, I think you can relate to that, right? With more golf in some way, shape, or form.
I want to make this about you. So I want to rewind some people, because your story, brother. I mean, I think we all have a story, right? And that's why I wanted to start this podcast. Your business is very, I don't want to say surprising, because I see the growth. It's just, it's humbling to see someone come up that fast and still be as modest as you are. That modesty has to come where from you as a person. So how did you find golf? I mean, I remember we were talking offline, you said golf found you twice, or because you played as a kid, but then didn't find it again. So take us through that story of how did you first have this relationship with the game?
Yeah, so big credit to my godfather, Luis Camarillo. He's the one that really introduced golf to the entire family. He worked at Blackhawk Country Club up in Northern California in the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. And whenever there was golf clubs that, the people who live there, whenever those extra golf clubs, he'd just bring them out to the family, and we just go out and, play in his backyard. He had like a little chipping green and a little putting area. And to me, it was just like, whatever, golf, And so he gifted my dad a set of like old golf clubs. And I don't remember what they were, but I do remember the grips, because they was those old school golf Pride Z cord kind of grips, like back from my 90s or 80s.
The victory cords?
The victory, yes. Those ones right there. Yeah. They were crispy, man. Yeah. Absolutely. And so it was just kind of like my dad he kind of like, started cutting the grass a little shorter, and we were just we set up a hole, and it was something we do during his lunch break or when he'd come home, hit a couple balls. But I don't know, like it was just, at the time I was 6 or 7 years old, and just my creativity as a child was just kind of like out the roof. Like I consider myself a self-diagnosed ADHD kind of kid. And my creativity ran wild, and so a golf club, whenever I turned it around and the head was on this side, it kind of turned into a gun, So then, like, I would grab the golf clubs and I'd play in between the trees with my brother, and we'd be playing Jurassic Park or something. It would be like sneaking in through the trees, and so that's how like golf kind of came into my life, and it was just like, okay, golf exists, but I don't know, I didn't really see anything in it, and then it wasn't until 2.5 years ago that my cousin,
you stopped playing.
I didn't play. I never learned how to swing. Yeah, I never learned how to swing a club. No, I didn't play. I played for like 3-4 months when my dad kind of like was like, hey, let's see what happens. And then I started playing with the golf clubs like they were guns. And so I would break them, like I was a kid.
But ever since then, you never actually went to play,
never.
You never learned to swing. Like it was just, the golf was an afterthought. It was like something that other people did.
Yeah, it was just something that came into my life at that point, and it just like took off, and I never entertained it in one way or another. And I just, growing up, I played soccer my entire life. And that took up a lot of my majority of my time, extracurricular activities. Like that's what I was doing, man. When I was in school, I was playing playing soccer.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until, like I said, two and a half years ago, my cousin just started nagging at me like, dude, like get in, like, let's play golf. And I was like, nah, dude, like golf is like this old man, rich man sport. Didn't really care for it, and it wasn't until he was like, dude, I have an extra driver, like here, like let's just go to the driving range. I said, okay, let's go. We hit a couple balls, and he let me hit his irons, he let me hit his wedges, and like just the way he had like a badass set. So, and he still has that set. So it's a set of P790s. It's a set of P790s.
Okay.
Full iron set. He's got a combo set, so I think there's 770s and 790s, right?
Shout out TaylorMade. It's okay.
TaylorMade, yeah.
They need it. They're a small brand. They need all the help they can get.
I know, dude. They're tiny. I wish they had like someone to like spread their content. If you guys need me on there. And then he had like the Cobra hybrid 3-wood and the driver, and it just looks sick, bro. Like the colors, and like something captivated me besides just swinging the golf club. And I was like, you know what, like, this is sick, bro. Like, at the time, I think I stopped playing soccer because I was getting too many injuries. I still played during my college career, just kind of playing out with friends, playing with college students at the university. And then I just said, you know what, I'm done with this. My shins are all beat up. And
so you played collegiate soccer though?
No. So I used to. So I stopped playing my sophomore year in high school, but I always kept playing, like just competitively in other teams. And that just took up. That's my love, and that is my first true sport love. big
Yeah.
soccer fan. So, but anyway, by
Well,
myself.
it's funny. It's funny because a lot of athletes. Because I mean, I was an athlete when I was younger. My brother, who's an athlete, played collegiate soccer. A lot of athletes who, including myself, like I would kind of just poo golf. Like I don't want to play golf. It's not like a real sport. Have found it in a competitive nature in a way. Like there's something that calls to us because there's like the internal athlete in us loves golf because it's so difficult.
Absolutely. It's crazy. I mean, I don't know if you skate. I used to skate as a child, and not as a child. I mean, I grew up skateboarding my whole teenage life. And I think skating between soccer and I played a little bit of basketball, just the idea of like having to do something over and over and over and over again to get good at it. I think when golf came into my life and I was like, yo, like the learning curve on this is actually a little more difficult than any other sport I've played. Like I think I landed a kickflip before I could hit a draw, and that to me was like, holy shit, dude. Like this sport has something that I just need to master in some way, shape or form. And even though I'm still not a great golfer, I still go out there and grind it out. And so I think that type of resilience in the sport has kind of translated into now the club building, the business aspect of it. So
correct me if I'm wrong here, because I'm sensing a little bit of our similar stories. Because when I was an athlete, and I'm a creative mind as well, different creativity than yours. Maybe you're more artistic. I like to create like businesses and opportunities, but creativity nonetheless. There was something difficult, not just about golf, but about the creative aspect of golf, like drawing a shot around a tree or going a low fade. Because I watched my dad and his friends play who were fairly good when I was a kid, watching them do these really artistic things. And like golf has a very artistic spirit of it, right? Did you relate to that? Like, because again, that creative mind you have, and then golf, like what synergies exist there?
So you see me cheesing from ear to ear when you said that, because it actually complemented my artistic side and then everything I learned in architecture school. So, and anyone that sees this interview or podcast who works with me or knows me from my architectural work, they're going to laugh because I did a whole presentation on how architecture and golf are just like the same. And like, the process of architecture and how like, there's 5 phases in architecture, right? There's schematic design development, construction documents, where you make the plans, and then CA, which is where you actually, construct the building and you execute. And so all of these phases actually really relate to golf. So when you hit before you hit a shot, you observe the site, you see where the trees are, you see where the slopes are, you see where the bunkers are. Then you have your design development. You're kind of like, all right, well, what should I hit here? Should I hit a fade or a draw? Which way should I aim? What kind of club should I use? And then you have your when you start developing that idea, and then all right, now here's how I'm going to set up. And then when you start setting up, you actually, you have a plan intact, and you have to stay focused on what that goal is, right? And then you have the execution part, and you execute it, and it might not, there's issues, things come up that were unprecedented, unthought of, and then once you hit it, well, hey, the ball is somewhere. You have to play it as it lies, and we have to move forward. We can't keep looking back. Like there's no, oh, you did, he did, whatever. Like it's just at this point, the shot's been taken, it's been made. We're somewhere. How do we get to the pin? How do we get to the objective? How do we build the building, right? So I think it's just a lot of similarities, dude. It's crazy. And so my artistic side, that's kind of the same thing. It's you have a plan, you execute it. Once you take the shot and you have some type of, you formulated at least a part of it, whether it's a painting, whether it's a drawing, a sketch, a sculpture, you kind of start manually it and moving it, and so the pin, the end result is you can't be perfect. I guess what I mean is golf. It's hard to play a perfect game. What is a perfect game? I think we could ask even professionals and anyone. It's hard to describe that, right? But we're always kind of scratching on the surface, and I think that it relates a lot with architecture and with art. You
could ask that guy on your wall back there what a perfect game is, and I think even him, one of the greatest of all time, would say it's being super present, like you said, like taking what you do your best, you see it, do your best, and you still have to live with the result, whatever that may be, because there's so many variables, right? And then keep going. So I think that's a beautiful answer. Now I really do want to get into, because I'm for one, fascinated by you and how you divide and conquer your day, like how you have your quote, you can't see my air quotes, like the day job, right? Architecture,
Right.
but also the business you are growing. Before I get into that and let you just riff, because I think that's fascinating, I do want to know, like, because again, love and golf, right? The relationship we have with this love affair. What does it mean to you? Like what, like, because to someone, it seems like you got introduced it early. You didn't think about it. It found you again, probably during the pandemic. Sounds like a couple of years ago, right?
Right.
You had this unique adult mindset to it. This creative, new professional mindset to it. It infected you. Take me through that infection point. Like what happened? Was it just the creativity of the clubs, the colors you mentioned? Like what was it? And then what does it mean? Like how do you live with that relationship now? Because golf is a part of your life, dude. You have a hobby, you have a business, you have a Paraline. You look at the hat. I love that hat. I mean, dude, golf is a part of your life. Golf is literally like it is. So tell me, like how did it come back and bite you? And how, like, what does it mean to you now? Take me through the relationship you have with it.
It's, that's a beautiful question. Thinking about it, I've always kind of been an all-in type of guy. Before, let me back up a little bit. Before I was golfing, I was just work, and then I would play, like, I was really into video games for like 2-3 years. Like I would just play FIFA, and I got really, really freaking good at FIFA. And then before that, it was just school. And so there's always this competitive nature in myself to just work really hard and get really good at anything that I really like put my mind to. And I just get obsessive about it. So when I got into golf, I really just got into the idea of playing golf. So I played golf for a year, and I was flipping the golf clubs just like as a way for me to fund my golf. Like I just didn't want to pay $700 for a driver. So if I flipped, a few golf sets, hey, I got a new driver there, right? And so the obsession of understanding things and my obsession with taking things apart, even as a child. So taking apart my stereos, taking apart my toys, and then rearranging them together in a different way, which led to my architecture side. But now, now beating golf, and one day I'm just like, dude, how do I take this apart? Like, what are the components that put this together? That's just how I think all day, every day. Like when I see a car, like, I don't see an object on wheels. I see like the doors and the screws and like the paint and the plastics. How do things go together? And I think just naturally, that's just how I was, kind of grew up thinking. And I think my dad kind of has a lot of influence on that. Kind of like, understanding and just always questioning everything. When someone tells me, something that they consider a fact, I always question it right away. And it's not, it's like, thinking that I'm questioning them. I just question everything. And so when I started seeing the golf clubs and selling them, and I was like, wait, like, let's take these apart. I took one apart and I saw the components in it, and I was like, okay, well, what if we just rearrange it differently? How do we abstract it and then put it back together? And I think
it's art to you.
Part of that, it's art to me. Yeah. Part of it comes just from what I learned in architecture school. I mean, we one day, the instructor would come in and he'd say, okay, you guys have to design a house in downtown San Diego. This is a property, but I don't want you to design one building. I want you to design 7 buildings, and you have to create 4 iterations of each one by next week. And it was just like this idea of just like letting your creativity just flow and not holding on to your baby. And so I think when I took apart my Miras, which were my babies in golf, putting them back together in different iterations just really, it really vibrated with who I am and what I've done my whole life. So that's kind of what.
Needless to say,
go ahead.
The game has given a lot to you. So
100%.
When it bits you.
Yeah, what has it given to me? Like I talk about like the idea of like it's given me. I feel like my relationship with golf is life, and what does that mean? Like it's given me more life because it's given me a new path for me to reinforce my values, my morals, my work ethic, my creativity channel it through golf. And so
that's beautiful.
It's just another parallel universe. I think that I'm just running consecutively with my personal and working life. And I think that really is, I'm it's a third channel of myself.
I love that, man. Like I got goosebumps right now. That it resonates so deeply with me, because one thing I constantly say to everybody who is either taking up golf or thought about taking up golf or thinking about taking up golf, I always say, golf is the medium to living the good life. Golf is a microcosm of life. Like how you play golf is how you play life. And brother, it's just like I know you on a different level, so I see your creativity day in and day out. I can only imagine. We have not played golf yet together, but I imagine you're a creative golfer as well. And you probably approach the game in such a beautiful manner, man. I think am I right or am I wrong?
No, dude, 100%. I hate. I'm not great at golf, but like I think this whole idea of being creative with golf and every aspect of it, I think just makes it more enjoyable.
Yeah.
The whole less than 14. Like I forget the name of the guy that's running that page. The whole idea, the whole concept of thinking less and just being more instinctual and trying to hit a creative shot. Playing with less than 14 clubs, playing a half set, honestly, like that was a huge for me. That was a huge game changer for my mentality of golf, right? And the idea of how to play it. And I think less is more, and then go into less is a bore, and there's so many ways to approach that concept, and playing with all of them just allows you to really forge and figure out who you are as a golfer.
I would agree on all accounts. And my next question is perfect segue. Is like, what have you given? Obviously, the game has given you so much. Your personality, to how you play the game, to how you see others, to how you approach your, probably some of your architectural pursuits. The next question is like, what have you given back to it, bro? But I'm going to jump the gun and just assume that, dude, SuperSwings, like the creative magic you put into those builds. And for those who haven't seen this, you have to go look at his Instagram page. What you just said, those builds, the deconstruction of maybe an older set, a half set, the restoration of one of maybe some clubs in my garage. Like you're giving new life to new ways of golfing, right? Where the traditional golfer thinks, okay, I've got my set of 14 clubs. They're brand new, off the rack, go play. What's your best score? Dude, that's not golf anymore. Golf is like that creative outlet, right? To go maybe play 9, go with the half set, play the front loop, just go have some fun. So your gift to the world, my friend, is there's just so like you and your work, you're giving people more than just their traditional 14 club set. You're giving people an opportunity to go try a blade set, to try, a cavity back. Like there's so many. I mean, again, I don't want to take the mic, but tell me about that and tell me about your creations, because I'll say one more thing. For someone who's only been playing golf a couple of years, your knowledge of just like some of those grails, right? Like the VR pros, the Muras that you just said, like bro, I grew up playing high school golf, junior golf. Like I grew up with all this, the 975Ds, like, but like tell me about, how'd you pick up on all that info so quick? How'd you know this? And those gifts, like your creations, like tell me some feedback you've gotten from your customers. Like tell me about it. Just tell me about that.
Yeah, dude. So, my first set of golf clubs were the Ping G420 iron sets, cavity backs, very forgiving. They were recommended to me by my cousin who's been playing for like 15 years, right? He's like, dude, you need these. This is going to improve your game. And they were cool. I liked them. But the first time I ever saw blades was on the Ping website. Just, I think they were the i500s or the iBlades. At the time, I forget which ones I saw, but I was like, yo, wait, hold up. Like, why are you telling me to buy this when they look at that shit? I was like, dude, like, like the blades just like sexy. Like they're just aesthetically, like, it just reminds me of a finely tuned car that doesn't need a body kit, doesn't need rims. Like, just a beautiful car from like the 60s, like a Maserati kind of style.
I'm turned on right now thinking about you just described blades.
Dude, that's just how I felt, And like I would go play my pings and like I'd have a shitty game and like I didn't like how they look, because this is like after seeing blades I was like, dude, it looks so big, and that's just personal, right? I respect everyone's decisions to play cavity backs, to play, 7 hybrids if that's what they want, But to me personally, it was just about blades. And so when I started flipping golf clubs, I started finding like all these older golf clubs. So like the old Wilson staffs, the old the Palmers, the old, I think Wilson was probably the one that
Dyna
was
Power but Wilson was a big one.
Dude, they're huge,
Yeah.
It's like, and Wilson
Mizzy's,
actually,
any set of Mizzy blade, you find those, like that's just in the bag, just can't clean those up.
bro, you have no idea how many guys, because I didn't know the value of golf clubs. So I was just kind of, throw a couple dollars on top of what I made, come pick it up, meet you, blah, blah, I made a couple bucks. Some guys got some grails, bro. I got to tell you,
Tell us.
So I think I've sold just about every single Mizuno blade before I realized what they were. I think I've sold every single like iconic Mizuno blade, bro. Like literally
MP14, MP39, MP32, the whole, yeah.
09, all of them, bro. every single thing that was made in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, I sold it not knowing what I did. Some of them had really had incredible grips that were brand new, and I was just like, oh, new grips at tack on $10, and it was just like, there's a 2-through pitching wedge, brand new Mizuno set with the Mizuno bag for $100, and I had to go 100 for 40 or something from like a lady who got divorced and was trying to get back at her husband, and those were the big deals for me, yeah.
Yeah.
And so then after that, blades, I just started doing research like, hey, like who else makes blades? Oh, everybody makes blades. Oh, then like, oh, those are sexy. And then Nike stopped making blades in 2016. Why did they stop? I'm looking all these things up, Mike Taylor with Tiger Woods, and it's just like, I'm just taking it in, dude. It's like having my mouth in a fire hydrant. I could not stop. And I was chained to it. I couldn't, my curiosity.
There's something infectious about it. There's something just like, it just takes over.
There's something about it. And and a big influence who I didn't mention earlier was I had a personal trainer. His name's James Wheeler, really cool guy here in San Diego. Locomotions, Athletics, look him up, guys. Amazing dude. And when we'd work out, he wasn't just about trying to go as heavy as you could and trying to do the exercise. He would say something that stuck with me, and he said, make it look sexy. And I was always like, why? He's like, because if you're doing it properly and you're actually doing the movements and the posture is exactly how it's supposed to be to avoid injury, it's going to look sexy. And I was like, that's a good way to look at it. And then I started applying it to golf, and I was like, well, if it looks sexy, at least, even if you're not lifting 200 pounds, even though you're not driving the ball or hitting a 7-iron, 160, 180 yards, but you hit it 120, well, it was sexy. And I enjoyed it, you know? So that's when in my head, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm selling these fucking pings. I sold my pings. I got myself a set of blades, of Miras, which just off the bat, I knew Mira was the shit. And I was like, and I had a thing for Japanese architecture, thing for, JDM. I used to have a Honda, like blah, blah, whatever. So I was like, dude, Mira's sick as shit. I love their story. I love what.
Tell me you just got the baby blades. You came out of the gate. You've been playing golf a few months. Just bang, baby blades.
Bang. And I found a deal. I found a deal on OfferUp, and I bought the Miras. And then they were just like, my cousin's like, dude, what are you doing? Where are your pings? I said, dude, I just don't feel good hitting the pings. Yeah, I hit it I hit it pin high, but I'm in the shit. I'd rather be short and the shit, but still look good. Yeah. And still look good, So that's kind of the whole concept is I want everyone I want to transcend that feeling of feeling good, no matter how you play golf, and just enjoying it. Because to me, that's what's important is feeling good out there, man. Like who I'm with, what I'm playing. And if it feels good, I don't care if I shoot 130, like I don't care. I feel good hitting them.
Bro, that's your magic though. Like as someone who follows your work, who's been following your work for the past year, seeing you take some of these like grails, like even like I'm talking like the clubs back in the 50s and 60s, seeing you bring life to some of those Wilson irons, seeing you bring life to even like the first edition Nike blades, and then like some of the color fills, the ferrules, the shafts. These builds are phenomenal. So
Thank you.
Tell me, like I want to share that with people too, like because I'm sure. Speaking for myself, you're not the only one who likes doing that. I like doing it, but I don't even know the first step in setting up that, you have like a whole setup with equipment, everything.
Now I do.
Yeah. But so take us through that evolution, right? How did you start? Like, cause I know you just said you just started with maybe grips, cleaning up clubs, but now how do you get the heads that are all dented to be refurbished? How do you actually change the shafts out? Like, how did the business of SuperSwings grow from doing grips to where it is now? Because I'm sure people want to know that story because like maybe they want to do it themselves.
Absolutely, man. And that's something I love to share. And I get, I get a lot of messages, and my wife can attest to it because you're always on your phone when we're, when I'm not on a date with her. I got to shut the phone down just because I get a lot of messages, and I just love responding and helping people out. And the idea is like, all right, how do you pull these golf clubs? What do you need to pull a shaft and to put it back together? What you need is something to heat it with. In this case, a torch, screwdriver, just to kind of go in there and clean out the hosel. You need some glue and a little bit of sandpaper and a new ferrule. It's very simple, dude. That's what I started. And if you go to my first videos, I'm working on a little 1 foot wide table, and I'm changing grips over a trash can. And people used to tell me, dude, get a vice grip. And I was like, nah, dude, there's no need for a vice grip. This is easy. I'm over here doing the work. The pros, I think they use a little plate to mix their epoxy, dude. I to this day I still use the blue tape. That was just something that I was like, dude, I'm just doing it on tape, whatever. And it evolved little by little, and now I have a full setup. We do swing weight. The only thing I'm not doing right now is loft and lie, just because I think that's a little. I'd like to leave that to someone who's been doing golf clubs for many years. I just don't feel comfortable doing it. But we're coming up in the next few months. We are going to be getting a loft and lie machine, and we're going to be offering that service as well. So whenever I do offer, advice, what do you start? You start with the simple tools. You don't need anything fancy, man. You don't need a sandy belt. You don't need a swing weight. If you have your golf clubs and you just want to swap them out, a little bit of heat, clean out the hosel and the shaft, little sanding on it, boom, install it. Little epoxy, you're good to go. And
what advice? Yeah, what advice do you have for people that just don't know how to start? Not just what you do, but because there was a moment in your life where you're like, hey, I'm an architect by day. I've got my wife. I've got family life. Was it hard to make that jump?
It's hard if you
or
think
was
about,
it really just a hobby? Sorry to interrupt. Was it just a hobby that just took off?
I mean, yeah, it was never really I was never thinking about it as a business. I mean, you go to literally my first few months of posting, it was just photos of me, the clubs I was reselling, like I said, and there's two ways to approach life. You either look at it with the problems you have and you keep thinking about the problems, or you look at it as in terms of solutions. And so, I think we all have things in our life that we could say are holding us back or that are going to impede growth in a certain area. But if you start making I don't know how to explain it, dude. It's tough. Everyone has different situations in life, right? And they're in a certain place in life, and I don't want to just overgeneralize, but you just have to make time, And to me, I wasn't making enough time for golf, so because I was still playing video games, so I sold my PlayStation, and I don't play video games at all. I don't watch TV. My personal Instagram, I don't use my personal Instagram. I just decided to focus on it. That's all what it came down to. I'm studying for my architecture license right now. I'm making time for that. Trying to, this is getting a little personal, but hey, I'm trying to buy, my first home. I'm trying to, build a business besides this one. It's, trying to build something for my kids and for my wife. And that's, it's just a matter of making time. And I got to say that I haven't had anyone support me in the way of hey, come do this while I'm, figure it out for me. But I've had a lot of support from mentors who are telling me hey, at least they're guiding me in the right direction. And so, in the case of golf, if anyone who reaches out to me ever asks me hey, what do I need to start? They're going to get my full attention and my response, because I think I owe it to them just the way that I was helped. I want to help others. I don't know. It's just, I play the 30-30 rule, 30-30-30 rule. I think, I don't remember if it's Gary V or something that talks about you want 30% of your friends or people around you need to be where you want to be, where you want to be, 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. The other 30% are folks who are growing the way, and are in the same kind of level that you are in life. And then the other 30% are just, friends, family, or whoever who wants to grow. And it's, I personally believe it's my duty to bring people up with me, grow with them. And then also, keep helping others that are above me and getting help from them. I think it's just a little bit of balance. I just,
Wow.
it's tough, man. It's not easy. I'm not sitting here, I'm up till 1 in the morning, 12 in the morning, building golf clubs, but it's just, I love it. Like it's an extension of who I am. And when I have a bad day in architecture, I have a great day in golf. If one day I have a bad day in golf, I have a great day in architecture. So it's just, I don't let one bad thing like transpire and overcast my day.
Yeah. Dude, I think that's just as beautiful. I know we're long on time, but I'm going to keep going if that's okay with you, because I think there's, you hit on like why I'm doing this. Like, like the Love and Golf podcast is not about, I don't want people on to brag about their businesses. They can, and you have, and I love that, but I gave that to you because I fucking love what you're doing. But it's really to get personal. It's really to the guy behind the business, the creative behind the project. And like the way that we look at life because of what golf has done. I think there's so many similarities between how we approach our lives, in building Mully, and like I've had to make sacrifices in my personal life, and shut certain things off so I can turn other things on. The live life balance. And like, I have a very, what's the word? Just a very, difficult, challenging relationship with social media. Social media is beautiful because of its possibilities and what it gives all of us in terms of an outlet, but it's also very toxic to those who don't use it in the correct way. And it's funny, if you look at the majority, I won't say all, the majority, I think of golfers, we try and use social media in such an uplifting, positive manner and not ways to just showcase, boast, and put others down. You've always done that. It's funny. I'll let everybody know that there haven't been people like Javier out there. I've asked to be part of this podcast, and people that have come up with Mully and SuperSwings that have like all of a sudden became too big, too cool for school. I'm like, that's not what we're about here. This community is so supportive and so, I'll just say supportive. There's a lot of other adjectives I could use, but I look at you and the way that what you just said and the way you approach life, dude. You do make time to do this podcast. You make time for your life. You make time for your profession. You make time for your creations. I got to give you, all the credit, man. That's very difficult to do.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Yeah, it is, man. But I think I don't want to die with what ifs. And there was a point where, I had to make a decision where it's like, all right, do I just kind of let it keep going, or do I start putting a little bit more effort into it? And I asked myself, if 30, 40 years from now, do I want to say, what if I would have just like gone put a little bit more effort and see where it went? Like, I just don't want to live with that. It's like that kind of I don't want to live with that thought, so I'm kind of letting it grow organically. And I think that's been the key. And by organically, I mean, not just in the sense of grow as the page grows, but it's like growing with the people who have been supporting me this whole time. And who are the supporters? It's really my followers and non-followers. Anyone who comments on the page, anyone who sends me a nasty message, like, I respond to everyone. I have friends that tell me, dude, don't waste your time on the people who talk shit. And I'm like, no, dude, like, it's like, you never know. Like, I've made friends with people who talk shit on my comments, and for some weird reason, we just flipped it and it turned into like, hey, I like this and I like that, and I golf here and I golf there. And it's just like, those are the people that really have been there. They share to their friends and they're like, hey, like, look at this dumbass, building shit in his garage. Yeah. And he's using like the wrong tools, or he's not using a heat gun, like, all these, or like even pro builders who go on and they start talking shit in the comments, like, dude, like, I'm glad you're in the SuperSwings community. I think we're all here pretending to be the best that we can. Like, a friend of mine reached out to me yesterday. He's like, how you been? I haven't talked to him in 10 years. And I was like, dude, I'm just out here pretending to know what I'm doing, and like, really, I mean, I'm pretending to know what I'm doing, but I'm slowly gaining the knowledge of like how to do things right.
What's the most rewarding thing you think about SuperSwings? Like, what's something that you just you're so thankful for beyond the community? I know you love the community and you love all the followers and everyone. Like, but what has it given to you personally?
I think it goes back to what golf is, and I think golf and SuperSwings are just one in one. And it's given me it's really given me another channel for my creative juices. I mean, like, it's given me an outlet. It's given me friendship. It's given me skills that I didn't know I had. It's given me a level of reflection and wisdom I didn't have in other aspects of my life. And now I apply that same, ideas in my personal life and other parts of business, my relationships, my family. I've become more patient. As I keep thinking of like little moments, it just keeps building on and on. And it's overall, it's just reinforced a lot of the morals and values that my dad instilled in me. And so, it's kind of a trip, man. I mean, people say certain things and I tell my dad and he's like, see, I was right about that. And I was like, yeah, whatever. That's not what I want to hear, but it's pretty cool, know, so, my dad's been super supportive about the golf. Like, he knows he busted his ass so that, I'm first generation. He busted his ass so I'd, go to college and whatnot. And I did. And I finished architecture school and I'm working full time. And I love what I do. My goal is to one day work in architecture and not get paid for it. Like I want to do it pro bono. And SuperSwings right now is seems to be like an avenue where I might be able to do that by establishing a business that grows. I can, maybe find a way to, do this full time, but also do architecture on the, on the side, but like pro bono and teach others about architecture as well.
Yeah. So we've been through the story of how you found golf twice, how it came back around, what it means to you, and how in the creative outlet, and then how you then take your creativity and give back to the community. So last question I have, because I'm really curious to know what's next. Like you've turned a hobby into a business. It's obviously just you right now, right? What's the future for you in golf with your business, SuperSwings, and moving forward?
Like I mentioned earlier, it's been organic, right? And so organically, people have came into my life and in the SuperSwings, the circle, and we're working to grow it, to expand the business, not only in just business wise, but like the idea of like, hey, enjoy where you're hitting, enjoy golf, don't take it so seriously, love it, love the people you're playing with, and share it with others. And I think those things together, I think they really have a strong concept behind them. And so, SuperSwings, we definitely have some big things brewing. We're cooking things up in the kitchen right now. If anyone who's been following me, and those who haven't been following me, we just dropped the SuperSwings landing page, and you're allowed to drop your email. We're going to let you know when the online shop drops, when the custom shop is open as well. Making it easier just for everyone who wants to be involved with SuperSwings as, just as a follower, or someone who wants to buy a hat, or someone who wants to buy golf clubs, easier for them to communicate with me. And I touch everything that goes through SuperSwings. And I think in one way or another, I want to keep that no matter how big it grows, right? I just want to have that relationship with everyone who's involved in the sport of golf, in the brand SuperSwings. And so I'm just going to keep that growing, but you guys are going to see some big stuff coming up 2023. And I'm very, very excited, dude. I mean, I think this is unbelievable. To me, this is not what I had in my mind when I thought about SuperSwings, and it's just beautiful to see it grow and supported by people like yourself, Molly Golf, and everybody else who's been there for me as a mentor or as a supporter or as a hater. Even them, dude, like I said, I love it.
Bro, I'm so as a friend proud. It's great to see another entrepreneur in the space just thrive through the pandemic, create something out of nothing. I do know a marketplace in case you ever need to filter some clubs on this new and used. I know a guy who knows a guy that can maybe get SuperSwings on there. But would love to do something with you on the side if there's any opportunity. I know you're super busy. Is there any way to get some custom builds, or even just port the store over so it mirrors on Mully? Mully, what we're trying to do is be the marketplace for golfers, especially that 21st century golfer. So there's a lot of divide in like eBay or new and used and like Roger Dunn or other stores. We're trying to centralize everything to have a brand like yours, a personality like yours, a creative mind like yours on Mully is what we're about. So that's a shameless plug on my behalf. So if you want, we should talk. But man, I got to give you all the kudos in the world, brother. There's there's people who dream a dream and people who turn it into reality. And you have absolutely 100% made this a reality. And it's proven by the hundreds of customers, again, a beautiful, beautiful Instagram page. Like, I think just dude alone, just the building process and how you record that, it's artwork in itself. So it's artwork within artwork. So,
Thank you. Thank you, brother.
I would love to do something with you, but if you have no more questions, man, last kind of words you have for everyone out there listening or anyone.
Yeah, man. Last words. I just want to say, first of all, thank you again for having me, dude. I think you like I said, we've been supporting each other from day one. We've helped each other grow in one way or another. Whether it's the app, the SuperSwings, trafficking, sponsors and love just back and forth. I think it's been a beautiful relationship, and so I want to thank you for being the one to reach out and starting that. It's been not only a business relationship, but just a good friendship, man. And I appreciate you. And so, other than that, I'm just gonna say a big thank you to everyone again, dude. Like, I can't. It's not me. It's not me. It's the world that we live in. It's the beautiful people in the sport and those that are not in the sport and just want to watch videos or it's just, I gotta thank you guys. I gotta thank you and your mom and your dad and everyone who's taken a part in your life, because they led you to SuperSwings one way or another, and I'm just grateful for that. So thank you guys for doing that, and shout out to the boys up in Northern California, my cousins, my friends, my mentors, my family, who bought every single item that I've ever put out. They've been part of it, and thanks to them, a lot of this stuff sells out really, really quickly. And I got to say, thank you from the bottom of my heart. So just here, man, just a humble dude putting in work. That's all it is. Trying to play some golf with some blades.
I guess so. All right. Well, we're going to have to revisit this again down the line, probably this time next year, see how you all the new and the growth. But, Javier, man, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for your time, brother. And we'll talk to you soon, man.
Thank you for yours, man. Appreciate you. Have a great day.
Later, bud.
Later, man.